My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder, designer. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that. That's the challenge, you know? I was around motorcycles, I mean, since I can remember, really. It's kind of been in my blood. When I was 18, I was like a drug addiction, man. Nothing else in my life really mattered a whole lot. It was like, I'm gonna go out and ride and race and try and win. So that's what I did for about 10 years. And I didn't know I was going to be a national champion, and I didn't know that I'd end up winning national road races and breaking track records and racing at the highest level. I really wanted to go and make something of myself that didn't really have to do with anybody else, because I knew that no one would be able to take that away from me, you know? Pushing myself seems kind of like a way of life. Every time I was on a bike, I'd push, and I'd always push past the limit, and now I really get the majority of my satisfaction from creation. I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders, I guess I am, but what's different is in this realm of building motorcycles, it's not about being the best as much as it's about just creating and wanting to build new stuff and cool stuff. To constantly innovate is the challenge, always doing something new and different. And today it's so tough because there's so many people building really great things, it's hard to stand out, you know? So you gotta constantly push. Creating something, it is about bringing something to life. A motorcycle to me is like the personification of that, because it like involves so many different things. It involves art, fabrication, design, engineering, rubber, steel, aluminum, titanium, paint, wood, whatever you can throw at it. So motorcycles are to me like the finest display of bringing an idea to life, making it real, making something you can actually touch, feel, and ride. That's what it's all about. Being on a bike for me is just essential to life. It's the purest expression of freedom and mobility. The faster you go, the harder you ride, the harder you push, you feel it so much more on a motorcycle. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you know it. It's draining physically, but also mentally, because you put so much focus into it. When you're on a bike, it strips everything else away. It just makes anything else in your life disappear. I'll never be away from bikes. It's just what I do, what my family does, what everyone I know does. So safe to say I'll be around for a little while. I don't see any other way for me personally but to just go after it every day. It just makes sense to me, so that's what I do. Life is one big project. You gotta hit it every day.
Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Also, you can call 888 Car Clinic and get right through. Jan will take your calls and put you in a queue, and I'll, of course, put you on the air and do my dead level best to answer your car questions. Really, that's what this program is all about, folks. I'm here to give you the right questions to ask at the service desk and at the new car dealership, maybe in the auto parts store. So if you're having some, you're in a quandary as to what you should do with your car, then I'm your man. Just consider me your personal car consultant, and welcome to today's edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. With highly trained, friendly, and knowledgeable parts professionals, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the parts you need to get the job done right the first time. O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to helping you get back on the road fast. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Oh, also, your car starts right with the battery. And I will share with you a little information. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by PowerFrame patented grid technology. Folks, batteries with PowerFrame technology have better electrical flow, cranking power, and reliability. Look for the PowerFrame logo on the outside of your next battery and know you're getting true strength on the inside. Back with your calls at 888-227-2546. How can you improve battery performance? PowerFrame grid technology, a more advanced kind of positive grid technology designed to combat the common causes of premature battery failure. PowerFrame grid technology is formed from a single sheet of precisely rolled and stamped metal. This patented manufacturing process makes the battery more resistant to corrosion. Look for the PowerFrame logo on the outside of your next battery. It means true strength on the inside. Visit powerframe.com to find a retailer near you.
O'Reilly. If it's hard to stop or you hear squealing and grinding noises during braking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You'll find the brake parts you need from trusted brands like BrakeBest, BrakeBest Select, and Wagner Thermoquiet at everyday low prices. Play it safe with brake parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Whether driving for sport or from A to B, your vehicle needs to perform, often in an instant. Stant brings original equipment expertise to their line of quality aftermarket products. Today's Instant product spotlight is on Stant thermostats. Proactive trumps reactive in both the human and automotive bodies. So when replacing your vehicle's coolant, proactive vehicular health calls for a new thermostat. Reach for the thermostat professional installers prefer. Stant. Stant's premium grade USA-made Superstat thermostat has a heavier gauge stainless steel housing and larger heat motor for better temperature control. Heavy-duty springs help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. And Stant's patented weir valve construction gets coolant flowing as the thermostat starts to open. This helps the engine get to peak operating temperature quicker. Stant Superstat thermostats come with a limited lifetime warranty. Just hold one. You'll feel the difference. Drive to stant.com to learn more or find them on Facebook.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
It straddles the line between timeless classic and modern luxury.
The grape tomato.
The ruby red in a sea of greens. The muse behind the great chef, Boyardee.
beefaroni, mi amore.
Oh, tomato. Are you fruit? Are you vegetable?
What is identity?
Groceries, essentials, signature value.
The Everyday Collection by Target.
Hey, Todd. Where's our sub?
Oh, Samantha. I've already given my sub to Sally.
What? Sally?
Hey, Samantha.
How could you?
I got a phone call. Todd.
Men.
This is Todd.
Get your own steak and bacon melt with mountains of juicy steak and melty cheese. Subway Steak Melts. Subway. Eat fresh.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this show started. Jan will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546, and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. If you will, just make sure that you limit your questions to one question so we can get as many calls in as possible. We'll open up both banks of phones this morning so that you won't get a busy. That's a problem that we've had. 888-227-2546. That's 888 Car Clinic. Get social with me. One of the things that I really enjoy about this program is to share with you some information that we learned during the week, so that each week I can bring you new and fresh material. And this week, if you tuned in last week, you may remember that I had in my possession a Kia K900. And that Kia K900 is a 2015 model, and Kia delivered it to me and let me drive it for a week. And I drove that car on a roughly 600-mile trip, and I will tell you, I was really surprised. I was surprised at the power. I was more surprised with the electronics, or maybe not surprised is the right word. I think I was just more enamored with the electronics than maybe than the whole car. You know, the car's beautiful. It has leather, Napa leather interior, steel body, and they use a lightweight, high-strength steel so they can lighten the car and without the use of aluminum, although it's not as light as an aluminum automobile, but they can still have the solidarity and the solid structure of the car. And the more solid you have a car, you would think, well, gosh, the more solid the body is, it's going to ride harsh. And that's not the case at all. In fact, the Corvette is 50% stiffer in its construction, but it rides better because when you have the body or the frame, either way, if it's a unibody, it's the body, but it's a frame and body together, or you have a frame with a body on top of the frame, regardless, whatever the setup is, the stiffer that assembly is, remember, the wheels and the rear axle, front wheels for rear axles are not part of the body. They're on floating members. They're springs and or shocks that separate the two and isolate you as a driver and the passengers from the highway. In fact, there's sprung weight, which that's everything above the wheels. And then there's unsprung weight. That would be to include the wheels. So you want to make the car, the weight of the wheels as light as possible, so that they don't have when they hit a bump, you don't have as much recourse and bounce from that wheel. And the light of the wheel, and this is really true for race cars. In fact, they make carbon fiber wheels for race cars. A company in the UK, I think, originated the carbon fiber wheel. And it's quite interesting to watch how they make a carbon fiber wheel. And you say, well, gosh, what if it breaks? And of course, carbon fiber is a very, very strong. It's very light, and it makes for a good wheel and a good body. That's what is used. Carbon fiber is used by NASA and space shuttles. Carbon fiber is used. All your Formula One cars are all carbon fiber. And you can get different components for your car that are carbon fiber. But in this Kia K900, it had what was, to me, the most outstanding electronic component, which is called an adaptive radar control. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of an adaptive radar control? Yeah, that's the one that latches on to the car in front of you. And of all the accessories that I decided to add to my last new car, which was about a year and a half ago, I decided not to use. That was the only option that really I didn't buy. that I decided not to add it to the car because I thought, well, for me, it's just not going to be an option that I use, and it was kind of expensive. So I said, I think I'll pass on it. But after driving the Kia K900, there's more to the adaptive radar cruise than just the fact that it latches onto the car in front of you. And I'll give you an example. I'm driving down the highway 70 miles per hour. I've got the cruise control. Well, I've got the cruise control set at 79, and that's a sort of my comfort level. My Escort Passport Max goes off. If I go 10 miles per hour above the speed limit, it warns me, exceeding speed limit, and I've got it set at 10 miles per hour over. You can set it at 5, but I set mine at 10. So I'm cruising along, and I have my cruise set at 79 miles per hour. And I'm following the car in front of me. Well, the car's only doing 75, so obviously, if you had a normal cruise control, you'd have to cancel the cruise control. In this case, the adaptive radar cruise from the Kia K900 held me back from that car and slowed me to follow that automobile. And you say, well, how far back? And also another part of this car that I love is the HUD, a heads-up display. So I'm looking ahead, straight ahead at the car in front of me, and in my line of sight is the heads-up display. And the heads-up display on the K900 is adjustable. You can move it up or down. You can't move it left or right, but you can move the heads-up display up or down. You can also change the size of the speedometer in that. There's 3 different settings, small, medium, and large, and you can change the color of the speedometer from white to amber or to green. I chose green. It was the most pleasant. And the bottom line, here I am driving 74 miles per hour. I can look in my HUD, the heads-up display, and see that it's 79 miles per hour is where I've got it set, but I'm running 74. And I have what's called ladder bar, and the ladder bar, if you can imagine a railroad track, and on either left and right railroad track, which is part of the heads-up display because that's the lane warning device. That's also in the heads-up display. So if I cruise too much to the left and get too close to the yellow line on the left-hand side, then it goes beep, 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 beep. And if I get too much to the right, which are the hash marks in the between the 2 lanes, the same thing happens. So it has, this car, the K900, has cameras all the way around, to include in the grill and of course the back, and that's sort of typical, you might say. But also this car has cameras in each rear view mirror, and when you're standing still, you can actually look on the screen of the car, and it's as though you have a bird's eye view. Well, it's not as though, you do have a bird's eye view of the 360 degrees around the car. So if somebody's walking around you, or if a child is behind you, you can actually see that person in the screen. And the screen in the dash is 9 inches wide. It's a healthy screen. So this is the 2015 K900 Kia luxury car. And that's right. It's not an oxymoron. It's a luxury car. Although you don't have to pay the price for the luxury car, because this car is a $60,000 car, and there's one option, and that option is a VIP package. Okay, so here I am running 74, and all is well, and all of a sudden, and I want to go closer to the car. So remember, there are, as I said, railroad tracks and like ladder bars. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 ladder bars. So I'm looking in my screen of the heads-up display, and I see the car in front of me, a little white icon of the car in front of me. I see my car, which is also in the heads-up display. And then I see these 4 little crossbars. And those 4 crossbars, I can dictate. There's a button on the steering wheel, and I can press it one of 3 or 4 times, and it goes from 4 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 back to 1, and it cycles that way. So the 1 meaning that's as close as you can follow, and that's about maybe 3 to 4 car lengths would be the closest that it would allow you to follow. Remember, now I'm not touching the gas, and the vehicle is following. My vehicle is following the car in front of me, and then I can push that same button to bring my car back. A farther distance, and 4 would be maybe 13 plus car lengths. But here's what I really found. And if you have any questions or questions about your car or questions about the new Kia or about the electronics in the new Kia and how that might, work on the next car that you buy, let me hear from you at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. 227-2546. Jan will take your call and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. So what happened was all of a sudden it started to rain. And it didn't just rain, folks. It just was a torrential pour down. And so as the rain came, I got to the point that I couldn't see the car in front of me. And I know that's happened to you. And what a very uncomfortable feeling, because my wife was in the car, 2 friends were in the car, and it was just very uncomfortable. So what do? Do I hit the brake? Well, the bottom line is no. I don't want the car behind me to run into me. Do I change lanes? Quite honestly, I couldn't see left or right, and I couldn't see the car in front of me as well. And that's what really made me nervous. So I didn't do anything. I let the adaptive radar cruise control take over as I had been, and all I did was to make sure that I had 4 bars or 13 plus car lengths. And in that torrential rain, which didn't last but maybe 45 seconds, maybe a minute, but it seemed like forever, sure enough, my car followed that car safely through the rain. So that's a very safe option you should consider on your next car. I see we have a call. I'm going to come back after the break and take Don's call from North Carolina. Don't touch the dial.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction. Brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Automatic transmissions generate heat and depend on the transmission fluid for cooling and protection. Fact. Yes, transmissions generate a lot of heat, and especially so when towing, tackling hills, and increasing your vehicle's weight with cargo or passengers. And while more than 90% of all automatic transmission failures are caused by overheating, the life of a transmission can be doubled by a 20-degree reduction in fluid temperature. Royal Purple's Max ATF is a synthetic, high-performance automatic transmission fluid that significantly reduces heat and wear, making shifting smoother and extends transmission life. When choosing oil, lubricants, or additives for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple. Visit royalpurple.com for testimonials and for all the Royal Purple advantages. Then pick up Royal Purple's Max ATF at Pep Boys today.
O'Reilly.
If it's hard to stop or you hear squealing and grinding noises during braking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You'll find the brake parts you need from trusted brands like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermoquiet at everyday low prices. Play it safe with brake parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The right cleaning agents, like the right tools for a job, are key to success, and CRC has the right cleaners. Choose CRC Electromotive, an aggressive cleaner that dissolves grease, oil, and wax without removing parts for electric motors, transformers, and machinery. Pick up CRC QD Electronic Cleaner, an alcohol-based precision cleaner for sensitive parts like circuits, computer components, and electronics. Drive to crcindustries.com for more automotive service solutions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
When we play a game together, I probably won't say,
Thanks for making me the focus of all your attention and energy.
I'll just give you a hug when I get a triple word score in Scrabble.
Or do a little dance as I make my first million in the game of life.
And I may not say, hey, this means a lot to me.
I may not say it, but you'll know.
Parker Brothers and Milton Bradley invite you to plan a family game night for your family tonight. Everybody who plays wins.
Mom, Dad, thanks for playing.
We'll be back with more music, but first a look at weather. Here's meteorologist Tom Sparks.
Thanks, Chad. There's a front moving in from the south, which is going to mix with warm air, giving us the distinct possibility for showers over the next few days. In fact, some of them are going to be big soakers, let me tell you. However, if you're planning any outdoor activities for the weekend, I have good news.
So it's going to be clear?
No, I just saved a bunch of money on car insurance by switching to Geico.
See what you could save. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Brought to you by AC Pro, the 10-minute auto AC cold air solution. Go to AC Pro Cold, that's acprocold.com for the store nearest you. And if you're having an air conditioning problem, you certainly may try this unit, because I used it on my car. I knew that it was low, and sure enough, I filled the system, and there's some stop leak in this AC Pro that also helps the O-ring issues that some Fords have. I want to reach out to KTBB 92.1 FM in Tyler, Texas. Paul Gleiser and Garth Mayer, General Manager and Program Director there. If that's your neck of the woods, let me hear from you. I'm Bobby Likis. Just consider me your personal car consultant, and I'll help you with your car problems. I've been in the business for 43 years. Along the Gulf Coast of Florida. This program originates out of an all-digital acoustic system studio that's located within a 15,000 square foot automotive service facility. So some 50 or 60 hours a week, folks, we're in the trenches. We service, repair, and pre-repair, which is a program that we created that prevents repair, our customers' cars. Over the period of 43 years, more than 200,000 cars and small trucks through our doors. So when you ask me a question, I'm qualified to answer your question, because we've been there and done that, and we still are there and doing that. So again, to KTBB 92.1 FM in Tyler, the number for you to call is 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Let's go to Dan in North Carolina. And Dan, I think I called you Don. I was trying to get out before the commercial last time, and I didn't make it. So welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
How you doing?
I'm fine, sir. How about you?
Oh, pretty good. I have a problem with, I've got a Ford Explorer Sport XLT.
Okay.
My back window, the defrost, I had to have the window, the hinges, I had to order the hinges and have them rehinge the back window.
Right.
Okay, well, when they did that, the little wire that goes to the defrost on the back window popped off, and they were like, "Well, you'll never be able to have that work again." And I was like, "What?" So my question is, can I just put some super glue and put that back onto it, or do I need to clean it?
No, because super glue doesn't conduct voltage, electricity. So you got to have voltage going through there. Here's what you can do, and certainly like a printed circuit board, you can solder those wires back onto that thin. Now understand, Dan, that's a very thin grid that goes across the rear glass, and that grid where those wires connect, that grid has maybe kind of like a printed circuit board that has a wire size like the size of your hair, or a very coarse hair. Then at the contact point, they probably will spread that contact out so it is a little healthier, a little larger footprint. You know, like maybe if you took your little finger and dipped it in oil and just touched the table with it, you'd have just a spot there, maybe a 1/4 of an inch or maybe 3/8 of an inch, and you can look at where the wires are attached. My question to you is, did the connection break at where that grid is attached to the glass?
Yeah.
Okay, so it just separated there.
Yes. The window, the back window was so loose, the hinges were popping out. And I came home one day and I was like, "Oh my gosh, the window's halfway off my car," and I was like, "Okay, well I got to take it to the dealership." But I was a little disappointed at the dealership not, wanting to address it. They just didn't want to even mess with it.
The only way they could really, and not in defense of the dealership, but having been in the service industry, the only way that could be fixed properly is to replace the rear glass, because the rear glass will come with the wire.
Right. Okay. All right.
But now wait. So you don't have anything to lose. You can take and what I would suggest is you practice a couple of times on a piece of glass, and maybe put some foil of some kind, or two wires down. What you might do is just tape 2 wires to a glass or a plate. Just take a plate
Of course, your wife will say which plate you're going to use, but you could literally just take a little saucer and tape 2 wires on the outer rim, and then so that the wires are pointing and near each other. You see where I'm going here? In other words, just make yourself a little table, but use glass to do it, and then take a soldering iron, and make sure that you use electrical solder, and with a rosin, I think it's rosin core that's used in electrical solder, is what I use, and then solder those wires, and do that a couple of times, understanding that you're going to have to be looking up, because I imagine this is going to be at one of the top left or right corners of the glass, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got nothing to lose. What you want to make sure that you do is, can you tell me if the original wires, where they pop loose, you have the original contact, or did the wires get damaged? Or do you know?
I'm opening the car right now.
That's cool.
Everything seems to be good. We're on the wire. It looks like it almost has some glue on it. Like maybe somebody has either tried that before, or maybe that's original. I'm not sure. But I can see the little spot right there.
Yeah, you know what you might.
It looks fine though.
Yeah, well, then what I would do, I'd certainly use a soldering gun, this little small soldering gun, and just very, very carefully hold that wire in place, and use maybe some flux, and just by using the flux, there may be that may be what you're seeing on there, maybe some flux on there, and I thought about, as we were talking here, I thought about what could I use besides that, and I thought about JB Weld, but see, JB Weld is still, it's a polymer.
Right, I've used that before, yeah.
Yeah, but for oil leaks and heavier duty. But you need a delicate connector here. Maybe there's another listener out there, or someone in the electronics field that has repaired one of those wires, or better yet, why don't you? This would be a great idea. Before you get started, why don't you reach out to a local auto glass shop? Mm-hmm. They're in North Carolina. Where do you live in North Carolina?
In Boone, up in the mountains.
Okay. Well, reach out to a local auto glass shop and ask them if they've ever repaired one or fixed one or what have you. And, there's got to be somebody that's already had success. The main thing is, well, I guess I start saying the main thing, you don't want to tear something up, but you don't have anything to lose anyway, because it doesn't work. Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
I kind of need it for the mountains up here, because we get a lot of snow in the winter and ice. It'd really be nice to have it fixed.
Yeah. Well, hey Dan, thanks for your call, and
I appreciate your help. And,
let me know. Let me know what you come up with ultimately to fix the problem.
Okay. Well, listen. Thank you again.
You're welcome, my friend.
Bye.
Bye. 888-227-226. 2546. 888-227-2546. We are currently broadcasting, global casting this program, as you know, at Watch Bobby Live. And we also are on our AM and FM stations across the nation, and that was one of our stations from Boone, North Carolina there. You also have stations in Tyler, Texas, and Daytona Beach, and California, and Washington, so Moses Lake, Washington. So, and Kearney, Nebraska. If those are your areas, let me hear from you at 888-227-2546. But what I was going to tell you is that we recently, thanks to a good team that we have here in Tony's work, we're on Facebook now. We're on YouTube, rather, with HD. So, like I mentioned, the HD Passport Escort Max radar with HD. Well, we're on HD in the studio. So if you're seeing us right now at watchbobbylive.com, we're on high definition, and you can go to full screen, and it's really way cool. It's television over the internet is really what it boils down to. And we're on Facebook, and here's how you get to all of our social media. And we created last week a very short video when that Kia K900 car arrived, and Tony put that up on YouTube. I think that's, is it on YouTube, Tony? It's on Facebook, I believe. It's on Facebook, Ted, or?
Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, it is on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, thank you. So go to facebook.com/Bobby Likis, Likis, twitter.com/Bobby Likis, Pinterest, we're there as well, and also
Bobby Likis Car Clinic, 4 words, Bobby Likis Car Clinic, all together, .tumblr, TUMBLR.com. And, of course, watch me here on Watch Bobby Live in full screen, True HD, 100% ad-free on the tube, and with the ability to rewind, pause, and add me on Google Plus straight from my YouTube channel. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Michael in New York. You have a comment on the defroster that Dan and I were just talking about.
Yes, I do.
Well, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for calling, Michael. What's your advice?
Well, I know at the Chrysler dealerships, they have a rear defroster repair kit. It's and it works very well. I've used it myself. I'm a Chrysler mechanic.
Well, terrific. So that's a dealer item. Well, obviously, if Chrysler's and he drives a Ford, if Chrysler got, well, it doesn't make any difference anyway. He can go to Chrysler and get a Chrysler kit because the same the same grid is used.
That's correct.
Sure.
You can get it any place. Chrysler, Ford, anybody who has a rear defroster set up for their vehicles.
That's way cool. Let me ask you a question, Michael. Have you ever personally repaired the wires that he's talking about? And I mean, is that feasible? Did it work?
Yes, it does. I've done it many times.
Well, great. That'll save him some money. I'll tell you, it must have been a lot of rust on his car for the hinges to wear out and rust out on the tailgate of the car. I guess
never heard of that.
No, well, we had. I haven't heard of the rust factor, but we had a Mini Cooper in our shop years ago, and this customer had just bought this car. And it obviously was from the northern part of the U.S., and for some reason, or for whatever reason, no one had ever checked the battery. Well, we were going to check the battery in our service. In order to get to the battery in a Mini Cooper, you got to open the rear hatch, right? Because the battery's in the back. And we opened the rear hatch, and it opened fine because you pull it open. But when we started to close it, the hinges bound up and because they'd never been opened. We had to free them up. Hey, got a hard break. I'll come back and take more calls. Don't go away. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Drive Smarter tip, brought to you by Escort, the world's best radar and laser detectors. When I say horsepower, what comes to mind? If you think go, you're right. But if you think stop, you're right, too. Horsepower measures muscle, usually thought of in terms of acceleration. But what goes up must come down. Yes, it takes horsepower to stop vehicles as well. In fact, it takes twice as much energy, or horsepower, to bring a vehicle to a stop as it does to get the same vehicle up to speed. Now you know why everyday driving, even in cold weather, creates extremely high temperatures within a car's braking system, up to 600 degrees. So make sure your car's horses have the right power to whoa as well as to go. Have your brakes checked regularly by an automotive professional. This Drive Smarter tip is brought to you by Escort. Don't just drive, drive smarter. Escort. To choose the best radar or laser detector for you, drive to escortradar.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
This is Tom. What's up? Sitting in his cubicle.
Actually, it's called a workstation.
Whatever. Tom is slowly dying in his workstation.
I mean, aren't we all dying, really, if you think about it?
Let's not get philosophical, Tom. Just go to careerbliss.com. Follow companies that you find. Apply to openings right online. Check salaries and read reviews. Score a career that's perfect for you.
I feel alive!
Choose happy. Careerbliss.com.
I'm your blind spot. And my job is easy. Hide big things. You're good. And if you named your own price on car insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Dollar for dollar, nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate agents. And now for the bonus round. If Rome wasn't built in a day, how long did it take?
3 business days. Oh, plus 1 Saturday.
Correct. A good man is hard to find. Why?
Because he's so small.
Correct. Netflix delivers movies by mail, and now what other way?
Directly to your TV.
Correct! Netflix now delivers movies 2 ways, instantly to your TV, plus DVDs by mail. Watch as many TV episodes and movies as you want for only $9 a month. Netflix!
See terms of use.
It's Practical Poly Radio. I've switched to cooking with healthier oils. So now what do I do with all these tubs of lard? Skinny jeans feeling too tight? A bit of lard on your hips and thighs, and those pants slide on like a dream. So there's no need for that lard to go to waste, but get your best heart-healthy trade-up with healthier oils, like canola, olive, or other vegetable oils, which can actually lower your chances for heart disease. Learn more at heart.org/facethefats. Canola Info is the national supporter of the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I hope you're having a great day. I am. I'm working, if you could call this work. It's fun for me, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to share information with you. And what I love, one of the things I love most about this program is that I'll have a call like Dan called in from North Carolina with a defroster, and then a gentleman called from New York to comment on how to repair that rear grid. And we're going to go now from New York to New Mexico, and we're going to talk to Tim, who also has a comment on that. I want to also, before I take Tim's call, I want to share with you that this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Royal Purple. And you know that I am an avid endorser and user of Royal Purple products and have been for many, many years. In our service department, and we've serviced more than 200,000 automobiles, small trucks and cars over the past 43 years. To this day, when we change oil and filter in automobiles, just a tick under 59 point something, just a tick under 60% of all of our customers changing oil at our facility use Royal Purple synthetic oil. And recently, over the past year or so, Royal Purple has come out with HMX, which is a high mileage engine oil that's especially formulated for engines that have higher mileage. What is higher mileage? Well, 75,000 is a starting point. I would say 75 to 100,000 miles, and we have tons of callers that you call me with 100,000 plus miles. So the HMX oil from Royal Purple is a fantastic option for you, and you think about that next time you change your oil. And I have another announcement that I'm going to take Tim's call first, and then I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, and I'll share with you what Royal Purple has just shocked me with, because you're gonna, if you're a heavy-duty trucker, you'll need to know about this because it's specially formulated lubricants for the heavy-duty industry. But first, Tim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir. How about yourself?
Very good. Not 100 degrees yet today, but
well, I'm sure that if you just be patient, you'll get there, right?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
most definitely.
Okay.
Oh, and happy Father's Day early.
Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. And to that end, in the next hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, we are going to be reaching out to the winner of the Passport Max radar. That's a Father's Day gift, compliments of Escort radar, and it's a contest that we started, and I am just stoked about it. I'm really thrilled about it. And I thank you for yours, and right back at you. You have a comment on the North Carolina grid, the problem with the rear window defroster?
Yes, sir. Down here we get lots. We have like New York, and I don't know if you guys have the same problem, but we do get wintertime. And I saw a kid at one of the local auto suppliers, or the auto parts. I don't know a particular name.
Right.
But it's probably the same product, but it'd be cheaper at a dealer or at an auto parts store than it would be a dealer. But several friends of mine have used it, and they were just blown away by how well it worked. So, I don't know a particular name, but
I got you. But you're saying that the aftermarket auto parts store also has a kit like the Chrysler dealer that the gentleman from New York Michael from New York told us about, that repairs rear window defroster grids.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes, it's supposed to be very easy in just minutes.
You know, Tim. Ironically, I with the exception, well, I don't know of any exception. I don't know that I've ever. I think I've repaired the grid when I was restoring my Porsche. I had the rear window out. In fact, the rear glass, because the car was apart for so long during its restoration, I lost the glass and had to buy another one. And I actually repaired the grid, but it was just a little hairline. I think someone had actually had, you know, some people put the tint on the windshield and the inside of the back glass, and if you're not careful when you try to get that tint out off, you can destroy the grid that's on the rear glass. But thank you so much, and I would, you know what, I'll check with O'Reilly Auto Parts. I mean, if any part store has any aftermarket parts, they should have it. So thank you so much for you. Have you used this yourself, or you said friends have used?
Several friends have used. I've seen it, but I didn't see it done.
Got it.
But they were saying how well they were surprised how easy it worked.
Well, that's great. Well, if Dan is listening in North Carolina, which I'm sure that he is, Dan, just know that you can go to the Chrysler dealer that we know that Michael from New York, and now Tim has called from New Mexico saying that their aftermarket has that repair kit. Tim, I sure thank you so much for your call.
Thank you, sir. Happy Father's Day.
You too, my friend. We'll take a call from, let's go back to New York and take a call from Jim. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Yes, I have a 78 Corvette automatic. I had on the road about 5 years, or I've had a license and registered, but I don't very seldom use it. I started up a couple times a year, and I haven't. I'm worried about the gas being depleted. Is there a way to drain that? Should I siphon it out? Should I add an additive?
The first thing I would do would be to remove the gas cap and smell the fuel. There's nothing as the stench of a stale gasoline is unmistakable, and because gasoline goes bad, it oxidizes, and so if you'll know right away if it smells like paint thinner or lacquer thinner or that old gas smell, and we've all been there, done that. If how much fuel's in it, or do you know yet?
You know, I don't know, because I'm going to put the battery in today and check it out, but it's, like I say, I started about 2 years ago, and I was going to start it last year, but I really haven't run it on the road at all, and so I know that's bad. Probably needs all new fluids and whatnot, right? What would you recommend on...
Well, I'd recommend you're starting right. I'd recommend the gas first, but what I would do is put a fresh battery in it. Look at turn the key on. Don't try to crank it first. Just turn the key on and see how much gas is in there. The more gas that you stored it with, the healthier that gas will be, of course. The problem the problem that comes with old gas is when you have a quarter or below half tank, quarter tank, and then that exposes more of the tank's skin interior to the atmosphere, and then some rust and moisture will occur because it's just natural. So if it's a full tank of gas, chances are you're not going to have any problems. You can, of course, use an additive. You can't drain the tank because there are no drains on tanks. We've long since gone away from that. As far as siphoning, you can siphon. You'll have to use a smaller tube to get it in past the restrictor, and you can siphon out that fuel. But first, I would put the battery in. I would turn the key on, and I would just determine how much fuel was in there. And if you've got a quarter of a tank, well, first thing is to smell the fuel. And if it's really, if really it smells like gasoline, then what I would do is I would add 5 gallons of premium fuel to whatever's in the tank now, and then I would add their products that fuel. Max Clean is a product that Royal Purple makes that is a great fuel conditioner, and of course I would use that in a healthy car, much less a 78 Vet that's been parked for years. So I would add. So when you go to get your gas, let's first things first, put your battery in, see how much gas is there, smell the gas. If you say, well, it smells okay, I wouldn't crank it until I put 5 gallons of fresh gas in on the old gas, and then because the minute you fire it, you're going to start circulating fuel, and it will mix itself. So that's what I would try. I don't think you'll have a problem. I think you'll be surprised. Now, when do you change the fluids? Only after you've driven the vehicle and got it up to operating temperature and gotten everything warm and up to speed, so to speak. And you want to make sure that the brakes, and ultimately you flush your brakes, because the brake fluid's hydroscopic, and it will absorb moisture, and that will corrode the calipers and those sorts of things. And you should drive it more. Is it a nice car?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I should drive it more. I know that. One more thing. Should I take the plugs out, put a little oil in the plugs?
Well,
in the plug hole?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a great idea. I guess you've heard me mention that before. It's a great idea. You've got, but you cranked this car, you said 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. And it was idle for a while. I had it idle for a while, and then it kind of started spitting. I figured, hey, the gas is bad. Of course, not driving it, only starting it every year, and then I skipped a year. Like I say, this will be 2 years, so I figure maybe pull the plugs, put a little oil in there.
Yeah, I would, but you'll have to you have to know that you spray oil, and then you have to have all the spark plugs out, and then you have to turn the engine over with the spark plugs out to make sure you don't hydro lock that engine. You with me there, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
In other words, some of the pistons will be at top dead center, and you can't get enough oil to stay in the cylinder. It's going to flow right back out the plug hole. So what you have to do is you put it oil, and I use a little flexible fuel line on to an oil squirt can, and it doesn't make a difference what you use, but transmission fluid would even work. Okay, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And put that in the can and spray it in each of the 8 cylinders, and you'll know which cylinder takes it, because you pump 3 or 4 pumps, and if it starts running back out after one, you know that the piston's at top dead center, so you can't get any oil in there. So what you have to do then is you have to do all the other cylinders, and then go back and spin the starter a couple times, just and don't continue to do it, because you want to. Yeah, that's the whole reason is you're pre-oiling, so you don't scratch a cylinder wall or ruin a ring. So you want to do that, and then you want to ultimately, after you dose all of the cylinders with oil, spin the starter over, and then you put a new set of plugs back in. You may as well. You're not going to put the same old ones back in there. You put a new set of spark plugs back in it. Put your Max Clean Royal Purple in the gas. 5 gallons of fresh gas. Fire it up and see how it runs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jim.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate your call. Yeah. Let me know how it works out for you. 888-227-2546. Go to Carl in, New York's hot this morning. Well, I don't know if it's hot this morning, but the phones are. Carl, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Bobby, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, sir.
Happy Father's Day.
And right back at you, too. I appreciate that very much.
My brother-in-law has a 1935 Plymouth Street Rod. He's had this car forever.
Okay.
And in the last 2 years, he's had an issue with it starting. And I had to go back and do some thinking on my old days with cars and stuff. And we solved the problem last year, but it's back again this year.
Okay.
Does not want to start. It just clicks.
What engine? Oh, you mean doesn't want to crank?
It doesn't want to crank, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
And it's a custom-built street rod. He's got a brand-new motor in it that he had already worked 30 over, and, I could go on. And he's in Michigan, I'm in New York, and I'm trying to, we're trying to get this solved.
Well, there's a surefire way that would help, and I don't know that this would solve the problem that he has, because when starter motors don't crank engine over, and you have a good battery, which I know that he has, I'm sure.
He just bought a brand new battery.
Right. I mean, that's the first thing people do. It's like when an engine overheats, the
I
first thing.
I tried to get him to do it last year.
Yeah, really. What you can do, and I'm trying to, I don't know how I can explain this over the air, so I may have to do you an email. Here's what I recommend. For applications where you have problems with the starter motor engaging, for the most part, that's caused by voltage drop. And those cars won't crank, but if you hook jumper cables, they always crank, or almost always.
Yep.
What we did years ago, and this was specific to 454 big block motor homes that would get so hot that the starter, you drive it down the highway for 200, 300 miles, and then you stop to get gas, and or take a bio break, or just take a break, and you come out and you go to crank it, and the heat build up, and the starter motor wouldn't work. What we did, Carl, we installed a Ford external starter solenoid in series with the starter wire that energizes the original starter. And I don't have much time, but probably best that I talk with him. But here's the point. You know, when you turn the key to the crank mode, you send 12 volts down to the exciter wire on the solenoid of the car engine starter, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, what if you didn't do that? What if you put another solenoid, and it was an older Ford solenoid,
yep,
and then you ran a number 10 wire, 10 gauge wire from the battery to the Ford solenoid, and then from the Ford solenoid you ran that same 10 gauge wire to the same terminal that excited the original crank part. You with me?
Yep, I'm with you.
Then you take the original wire that goes to the crank solenoid of the starter and let it work the Ford solenoid. That's a separate. Now you've got one solenoid, and all it has to do is click itself. It doesn't, and then it sends voltage down to, and it boosts the voltage that ultimately gets to the starter solenoid. So what you're doing is you're using one solenoid for the sole purpose, with a number 10 gauge wire feeding down to fire the old starter's solenoid, and that will work. It will work. Hey, I'm out of time for this hour, folks. Another great hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic coming up. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. E15 as a choice at the pump benefits engines of today's EPA E15 approved vehicles. The first gas station offering an E15 alternative to drivers of light-duty vehicles, model year 2001 and newer, in July 2012. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, spank my bottom and call me polyethylene. I'm recyclable. Hi, Tom Bodette for Motel 6. In the spirit of conservation, this commercial uses 100% recycled words. Yep, just like water bottles or cans of garbanzo beans. I've used all 160-odd words in this commercial before to describe Motel 6, like clean, comfortable, and lowest price of any national chain. That was a whole six-pack I just recycled there. I figure why make new words when those work just fine? So I can tell you what a great value Motel 6 always has been and still is without contributing to a verbal landfill or increasing my jargon footprint. I see it as doing our part to conserve our precious verbal resources, and that feels pretty good. Almost as good as saving money. I bet this will sound familiar too. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you. Book online at motel6.com.
My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder, designer. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that. That's the challenge, you know. I was around motorcycles, I mean, since I can remember, really. It's kind of been in my blood. When I was 18, I was like a drug addiction, man. Nothing else in my life really mattered a whole lot. It was like, I'm gonna go out and ride and race and try and win. So that's what I did for about 10 years. And I didn't know I was going to be a national champion, and I didn't know that I'd end up winning national road races and breaking track records and racing at the highest level. I really wanted to go and make something of myself that didn't really have to do with anybody else, because I knew that no one would be able to take that away from me, you know? Pushing myself seems kind of like a way of life. Every time I was on a bike, I'd push, and I'd always push past the limit, and now I really get the majority of my satisfaction from creation. I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders, I guess I am, but what's different is in this realm of building motorcycles, it's not about being the best as much as it's about just creating and wanting to build new stuff and cool stuff. To constantly innovate is the challenge, always doing something new and different. And today it's so tough because there's so many people building really great things, it's hard to stand out, you know? So you gotta constantly push. Creating something, it is about bringing something to life. A motorcycle to me is like the personification of that because it like involves so many different things. It involves art, fabrication, design, engineering, rubber, steel, aluminum, titanium, paint, wood, whatever you can throw at it. So motorcycles are to me like the finest display of bringing an idea to life, making it real, making something you can actually touch, feel, and ride. That's what it's all about. Being on a bike for me is just essential to life. It's the purest expression of freedom and mobility. The faster you go, the harder you ride, the harder you push. You feel it so much more on a motorcycle. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you know it. It's draining physically, but also mentally, because you put so much focus into it. When you're on a bike, it strips everything else away. It just makes anything else in your life disappear. I'll never be away from bikes. It's just what I do, what my family does, what everyone I know does. So safe to say I'll be around for a little while. I don't see any other way for me personally but to just go after it every day. It just makes sense to me, so that's what I do. Life is one big project. You gotta hit it every day.
Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And I want to welcome you to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We just completed the first hour, and some stations will air both hours, some not. If you're listening to us live at this moment, we broadcast 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday on our stations across the nation. So welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Delighted to have you in the house. Happy Father's Day early to all of you fathers out there. And for everyone, you need to really think about that. That's it really means a lot. It means a lot to us dads, I can tell you that. I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Get in early. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by AC Pro. Is your car's air conditioner not blowing cold enough? Well, you bring back the cold in under 10 minutes with do-it-yourselfer AC Pro. And for more information and to find a store nearest to you, folks, go to AC Pro Cold. That's acprocold.com, and you will find a store, retailer near you where you can buy your 10-minute AC recharge. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic also brought to you in part by Stant Corporation, the choice of OE manufacturers and the leader in aftermarket caps and thermostats. Find Stant products for your car at stant.com. Back with your calls at 888-226-2746. Whether driving to work or for sport, your vehicle needs to perform, often in an instant. Stant brings original equipment expertise to their line of quality aftermarket products. Today's Instant Product Spotlight is on Stant thermostats. Proactive trumps reactive in both the human and automotive bodies. So when replacing your vehicle's coolant, proactive vehicular health calls for a new thermostat. Reach for the thermostat professional installers prefer. Stant. Just hold one. You'll feel the difference. Stant's premium-grade USA-made Superstat thermostat has a heavier gauge stainless steel housing and larger heat motor for better temperature control. And Superstat's heavy-duty springs help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. Stant's patented weir valve construction gets coolant flowing as the thermostat starts to open, helping the engine get to peak operating temperature quicker. And remember, Superstat thermostats come with a limited lifetime warranty. Drive to stant.com for more or find them on Facebook.
My car's a sauna. What's with this air conditioning?
You need an AC Pro.
Know any?
Yeah, you.
You got me confused with somebody else.
You're a pro with new do-it-yourself AC Pro, the 10-minute cold air solution.
But
You know where to find the hood?
That thing up front?
Exactly. AC Pro's easy, fast, and saves you money. You'll have your car's AC blowing cold air in minutes.
I did it! It's like a freezer in here.
Be a pro with new AC Pro, the 10-minute cold air solution.
Got a sweater?
Many oil filters use cheap paper filtration that fails after only a few thousand miles. That's why Royal Purple developed its new extended life oil filter. Royal Purple uses unique microglass filtration that removes 99.9% of harmful contaminants and provides extended protection. Royal Purple filters are available online and by special order at quality auto parts stores. Go to royalpurple.com for details. Royal Purple, the performance oil and filters that outperform.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
First rule of business, hard work equals success. That's why Geico is consistently rated excellent or better in terms of financial strength. Second rule, don't steal a co-worker's egg salad, especially if it's marked a gecko. Come on, people. Geico's the third largest car insurance company in the nation. But it's not like we're kicking back now having a cup of tea. Takes a lot of sweat to become that big. Of course, geckos don't literally sweat. It's just not our thing. But I do work hard, mind you.
Home. It's the place you like to make warm and inviting. What could be more welcoming than the aroma of fresh coffee brewing? When the coffee is Starbucks, the experience only gets richer. You'll find Starbucks coffee at your grocery store, so you can enjoy it at home. Its distinctive roasting style and rich, authentic taste show how seriously we pursue the art of coffee. Savor its aroma, then pour a cup and invite your senses to take flight. Starbucks coffee at your grocery store.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour. And yes, you know, with the number, I was just, you know, you get into a hurry and you try to, you know, cram as many words as you can into the airtime. So quit, stop doing that. So let me give you the number to call. Jan will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. And that's 888-227. No, it's not 226. It's 227-2546. Well, you see what I did? I was 22, and I was thinking of the 6, the last one. I said, well, I've got to get out of the, but never mind. Anyway, Jan will take your calls at 888-227.
You got that, Bobby?
Yeah. No, I don't have it. I don't. Hey, it's Father's Day, man. Give me a break. You know, like, hey, give me a break. Give all the fathers a break today. Give the fathers love and give them, you know, a break as well. And speaking of giving, we're going to be giving a Passport Max away today to a lucky father. And this is in regard to our Car Story with Dad giveaway contest, which, and I've got, you know, a little later in this hour, I will read the letter that this gentleman wrote about his dad. And it's really great. It's fantastic. So I'll tell you about that as we go along. I'll take your calls now at 888 if you got a car question or a car story, or I just want to talk cars. And if you just tuned in, I have to tell you, I'm back from my trip of trying the new 2015 Kia K900, and a fantastic automobile. And I compared. Right or wrong, I compared that car to the Jag, and you know, there's a lot of difference, but there's also like a 40% difference in the price. And I'll tell you, luxury and Kia go hand in hand. Kia's come a long way in their 20 years, and I think they've made their 5 millionth car. It's just I think those numbers are right, aren't they, Tony? 5 million cars they've made. Just amazing. But the K900. But you know, if you're thinking about, and folks, I have nothing against BMWs or Mercedes or Lexus cars. In fact, I've owned a Lexus and owned several Mercedes Benz. But if you're thinking about a Lexus or a BMW or Mercedes, you would do yourself a favor financially and surprisingly luxuriously to look at the K900 automobile. Because it not only does it have the Napa leather and beautiful paint and you know all reclining rear seats. Really, it's just unbelievable at all the electronics that it has on it. And what I specifically liked about the K900 that I drove was the adaptive radar cruise control. I won't go through the whole story, but I will tell you that what I liked most about it was in a torrential rain when I was too concerned about my safety of my passengers, my wife and myself, to put on the brakes because of the cars behind me. And I was also too concerned or overly concerned that I couldn't see the car in front of me in this torrential rain. And this was this past Tuesday, as it turned out to be. I used the adaptive radar control that is on the K900 and locked on to the car in front of me and maintained a fixed a distance from that automobile that was safe. And then it only lasted 45 seconds or a minute, but it seemed like forever. So anyway, do yourself a favor, and if you're thinking about a luxury car, check out the K900. And I'm not paid to say that. I did drive this car. They did send me one. The Kia folks sent me one. Michael Sprague, as a matter of fact, was a guest on our program, who is a vice president of marketing for Kia. And I was so enamored with this car, I said, I just love the car. I want to drive one. So he said, okay, I'll send you one. And he did. And I took a trip in it, and we really enjoyed it. Let's go to Washington and take a call from Don. And speaking of Washington, KKNW, 1150 AM in Seattle. Eric Crema and Eric Rader. That's the general manager and program director for KKNW, 1150 AM in Seattle, Washington. We'll take a call from Don in Washington. Don, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Morning, Bobby.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. What can I do for you?
Well, Bobby, I've got a 1992 Ford F-250 3/4 ton 4x4.
Okay.
And it's got a 5.8 liter V8.
Right.
It won't fire cold.
So cold. In other words, would cold be considered really cold temperatures, or just overnight, even if it's just
overnight?
Just overnight.
Yeah. It just won't fire or light when it's cold.
Well,
engine block is cold.
There are two reasons that engines. There are more than two reasons, but there are two main reasons. If an engine has compression, obviously it does, because it's okay after you get it running. If it has fuel and ignition, and it compresses the air with fuel and ignition, then it would crank. It would fire. It would light off, as we were saying. Crank means and light off means to run. So in your case, you're talking about it cranks over, but it doesn't come to life, right?
Right.
Yeah. Here's what I recommend. You need to know whether it's not getting ignition or it's not getting fuel. One or the other. If it's not getting fuel, you could have a fuel pump that's lazy and doesn't spin over. It could be a fuel delivery problem. True, it could be electronic, and it could be injectors and drivers in the ECM that open the injectors. But hey, let's not go there. Let's just think about the obvious two easiest points. And here's what I recommend that you do. And you can buy starter fluid. You may have starter fluid living in Washington. You can buy starter fluid. And you can go out. Do you know where the air where the air cleaner, of course, and the air box is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've used the starting fluid, and that'll get it to go. And I've checked fuel pressure. I've got 45 pounds with just the key on.
Right.
And with the engine running, I'm down to 30 pounds.
Well, what do the specs call for, or do you know?
It specs out in the book at 45. Ignition on and 30 pounds for the low and on running.
Well, if you don't, Don, I challenge that, because the pressure is going to be higher running than it is with the key on. The fuel pump doesn't run but 3/4 of a second to prime the pump, so you won't get a higher pressure reading with the key on than with the engine running.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Right. So,
well, I was just reading the book, and that was the specifications.
You may have read it wrong, because understand this: when you go, in other words, when the key is on, the pump doesn't run for safety reasons. Because if for some reason an engine flooded out or went dead, and at the traffic light, maybe a fuel injector leak or something, and this is because historically cars used to burn to the ground. Especially the British cars, because they had a fuel pump that whenever you turned the key on, it went and it pumped fuel. And if you had a carburetor that was flooding over and it backfired, you'd just keep pumping fuel and adding fuel to the fire, literally. So none of the cars made, not one of the cars made for many, many years now with electronic fuel injection, and they all have electric fuel pumps, none of those cars run the pump with the key in the run position with the engine not running. However, when you go to the crank mode, well, first I'll make this short. When you go from off with the key, put the key in and go to run mode, the pump will go for like 3/4 of a second, and it will prime the system. That all cars do that. If the car is out of gas, when you go to the starter mode, in the cranking mode, when the starter is running, there's voltage that also bypasses the normal route and sends power to the fuel pump, so the pump will run in the crank mode. So that means you've got a fuel pump that can pump pressure for 3/4 of a second in the on mode, and then in the crank mode you got a fuel pump that's going to pump all it has because it has straight voltage. Then when the engine runs, then and only then will you get the correct pressure reading, because the pressure regulator is delivering back to the tank what the engine doesn't use, and it round robins. It just circulates and recirculates. So what that means is your highest pressure point will be with the engine idling. And there are some differences in cars, depending on whether it's a vacuum control regulation process or not, but just to say idling. So if you got a car that has 30 psi idling, the only way you can get a higher psi is if you block the return line to the tank, and that's called deadhead, and you only do that for half a second, 1/4 of a second, because you'll see the pressure go from 30 to 60 or 90, and in that case. So I've got a couple of other ideas. We have a hard break coming up. I don't want to step on the brake, so Don, you stay there. I'll think about it through the break, and we come back, we'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. According to economic research firm Cardno Intrix, the ethanol industry added $42.4 billion to the U.S.'s gross domestic product, and the production of 13.9 billion gallons of ethanol supported 90,200 direct jobs and over 311,000 indirect jobs across this country. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Engine Care Spotlight, brought to you by CRC Industries. Where is it? My car used to have it, but now it's all but gone. I'm talking about power. If your vehicle is sluggish, losing MPG, and suffering power and performance loss, could be due to carbon deposit buildup throughout the fuel system. So shock your dirty fuel system with CRC's one-tank Power Renew and reclaim the power, performance, and MPG you've been missing. In fact, test results show up to 97% power recovery, up to 5.7% bump in miles per gallon, 99% injector flow improvement, and cleaner emissions. Best of all, one-tank Power Renew, the most powerful fuel system cleaner on the market, guarantees results with just one use and last 4,000 miles. One Tank Power Renew is available at Advance Auto Parts, AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Napa Auto Parts stores. Visit crc1tank.com for a $5 rebate.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Live from Progressive.
Flo here. Today we're talking to
Newlyweds.
Hi, my husband and I are combining our policies, and my mother-in-law says we can save with Progressive.
Well, with online, homeowners, and multi-car discounts, saving on car insurance is easy.
So you're saying she's right?
I'm saying get used to it.
Get great savings and more at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Mayfield Village, Ohio. Discounts not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Every year there are over 20 million car wrecks in this country. It's not pretty. But people banging out the dents, rebuild them, and resell them to, well, maybe you, bucko. If you're buying a used car, it's a crapshoot. Get a vehicle history report from Carfax.com. They'll give you the real history on any used car. Visit CARFAX.com or ask your dealer for a Carfax report. Don't buy a used car without Carfax.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car. And your host, Bobby Likis.
And I want to welcome you back to today's broadcast, Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We bring this broadcast to you every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time. Also, you can download it if you go to iTunes and just put in Bobby Likis, you can subscribe and you can download and keep the podcast so that you can listen to it at your convenience. Maybe you want to hear an answer, or you heard a call, or you wanted to hear it again, or you missed the last part of it for some reason. You can always take a second look at it, listen to it with your iPad or iPod or podcast, as it were. Also, watchbobbylive.com. We're talking with Don in Washington. Don, through the break, I thought about what best that you could do. And I understand that you've got a book there that helps you with your Ford 5.4. What you really need to know for sure is if you've got an ignition problem or a fuel problem. And you said that you can use starter fluid and make this engine come to life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to assume, and I don't like to use that word, nor do I like to assume, but I'm going to assume that you have a fuel delivery problem, and I'm going to assume that you've got a lazy fuel pump, and the only way that you really will know is to run well, there's two technical ways. One, you could run a pressure test on it, which is a real pressure test where you hook a fuel pressure gauge into the loop of the fuel injector, and it will show you the actual pressure and the running pressure, and then the deadhead pressure. And also, when you turn the truck off, after you've gotten it running, and let's say it's idling at the 30 psi, you turn the key off, it should sustain or retain some 10, 15 psi for 5 or 10 minutes, because otherwise you'd be leaking down, and you'd have a leaking injector or a leaking check valve. So I'm going to suggest to you that you have a professional shop run a fuel pressure test on your vehicle, and I'm going to suggest that you leave it overnight and let them check it first thing in the morning so they can be on the same page as you. I know you'd like to do this yourself, but there are certain tools that's required for the proper test that you don't have.
Well, I tried the fuel pressure test and the fuel leak down test, and it maintained the pressure for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, that's good.
But what I have is a constantly running fuel pump, and this particular model has dual tanks, and I'm having the same problem with both pumps.
Well, then what is common to both pumps would be the valve, the crossover valve. So that may be indeed your problem. I still think, and I still recommend that you find an ASE certified service shop and let them perform tests as required by the OEM or by aftermarket. We use all data for our diagnostic services. So that's what in our testing purposes. So that's what I have to recommend to you, because you're too deep into a problem without having the knowledge and the tools to run more tests than just a fuel pump test. And that's the best advice I can give you, because otherwise you could spend a 6 months. How long have you had this problem?
About 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna recommend that you go to asashop.org and find a shop that's qualified to service and repair this particular problem on your car.
All right. Thank you, Bobby.
I thank you. I wish I had a magic silver bullet, but I don't. Folks, your calls at 888 Car Clinic, but now it's time to announce the winner of the Car Story with Dad giveaway contest. And as I mentioned before, the winner will receive a Passport Max Premium HD radar laser detector, a $550 value, compliments of Escort radar. And by the way, the Passport Max is the first radar detector with HD radar performance, equipped with unique Escort features like Auto Learn and the Defender database. Passport Max delivers a faster response time, greater sensitivity, and more accurate signal recognition. The Passport Max features high-speed digital signal processing, which removes the RF, that's radio frequency interference, and then identifies radar threats other detectors don't even see. Passport Max sports brilliant new graphics and illuminating intuitive icons to pinpoint those particular threats and protect you from a ticket. And the Passport Max is compatible with the Escort Live. That's Escort's social networking for the road, a real-time ticket protection network which warns you of upcoming alerts received and reported by other users in the same area. Okay, Tony, a drum roll, please. There you go. The winner of the Passport Max is, and folks, this is really, really way cool, Glenn Miller, just outside of Chicago, Illinois. And I want to share with you Glenn's car story with Dad. And I quote here from Glenn Miller. My dad recently passed away in Florida in April 2014 from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I miss him every day. But let's go to where the story begins. Dad was the one who taught me everything I know about and love about cars, a lifelong mechanic who started wrenching on vehicles in the Army. He was the guy who showed me how to do my first oil change, use a timing gun, change the points and distributor cap, and gap spark plugs. I was about 8 at the time when he showed me how to properly work on a car and wear the proper equipment and use the proper tools from Bosch and Mack and Craftsman and Snap-on. Not one to ignore the fit and finish of a vehicle, he made sure that I knew how to wash the car, wax it, and check the tires for proper inflation, some of which have seemed to be forgotten this day and time in this era of electronic control modules like tire pressure monitors and automatic car washes. And he goes on to say that Dad owned everything in the state from a 60 Bel Air Plymouth wagon, B-body Roadrunner, to a modified 69 VW Beetle with a 2180cc engine. Yeah, that's modified, all right. And whenever he worked on cars, I'd be out there inquisitively asking him about this and that and why. A typical kid, I wanted to know it all. He was always patient with me and showed me how to change the oil without getting it all over the engine or the pavement where we worked. He had a thing for Castrol GTX, that thick orangey stuff that flowed like syrup from the bottle. Folks would probably use 2050 back at that time. He also loved to clean the air filter on his cars with his air hose, and then he'd give me a little air squirt to ruffle my hair. I miss my dad and everything he taught me about cars, but his legend lives on. Today, I have a stable of 9 cars, ranging from a 2012 Roush Stage 2 Mustang to a Kleeman S7 Mercedes C55 AMG to a Sienna SE minivan. All great vehicles and all serving a different purpose. If it weren't for my dad, who showed me all the ropes about cars and taking care of them, I wouldn't have the love affair today that I have with the automobile. God bless you, Dad. I miss you, but know this, that every day when I get in a car and turn the key, I think about you and the joy of driving. Glenn Miller out of Chicago, Illinois. And Tony, I know that we're going to get Glenn Miller on the phone, so let's get him on the phone now and give him a call. And this is really way cool. And for those out there of you, your dads and your sons and daughters, happy Father's Day to everyone. Here we go. And we're live radio. And the gentleman's name is Glenn.
Hello?
Glenn Miller, Bobby Likis here.
Hey, Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I couldn't be any better. I just read your letter, wrote it. I didn't write it. You wrote it. I just read it on the air, and you have to be proud. Your dad would have been proud, and I want you to know that I really thank you for sharing your experiences with us. And as you're aware, you're the winner of the Escort Passport Max.
Yes, sir, and I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome. What's the first? You said in your letter you were like 8 years old. Do you remember the first time that you ever really did something screwed up really badly, and you never forget it?
Yeah, I put the oil into the windshield washer reservoir.
Well,
my dad's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I thought that's where it goes. It was a cap."
Yeah. Well, yeah, it had a cap. Why not? Yeah, 6'1". I actually fell out of a car when I was very young. We were driving very slowly across this bridge in South Carolina, sightseeing, and I was experimenting with the rear door to open it up to see how far I had to move it before the door would open. And like if it had a trigger on it, a fast trigger like a gun. And I did it several times, and finally I leaned out and fell out of the car, and sure enough, here I was running down the road crying and said, don't leave me, don't leave me. My mom turned around to my brother and said, "Where's Bobby?" And my brother said, "Hey, he fell out." Yeah, really? That was typical what my brother would do.
Get hurt.
No, I didn't get hurt. I was a roly-poly little fat kid. I could hurt a little fat kid, What did your dad drive?
He's had everything from he was a Mopar man initially, and he had everything from Chargers and Road Runners, and the only engine he never owned was a 426, and but other than that, the 383s, the 340s, the six packs, he had everything you could imagine.
Well,
and
I'm sorry. I want to thank you in the interest of time. I want to thank you for sharing your car story with Dad, and I want to congratulate you on your winning the Passport Max. And let me tell you, here's what I love most about mine, and you'll tune your own Passport Max. You can set the warning in it so that it warns you if you're exceeding the local speed limit by 5 miles per hour or 10 or 15.
That's fantastic.
I set mine at 10. Otherwise, every time you turn a corner, you're exceeding speed limit, and you will tend to ignore it. So don't set it so sensitive that it warns you too often. Set it at 10 miles per hour, and then after you've driven with your Passport Max, I'd love for you to call me back and give me a report of how you like it, and tell me a little more about your experience. Okay?
I will, Bobby, and I'll do you one better. I'm gonna. My son went to Florida State, and I'm a Gator. So we go down there quite frequently, pass through Pensacola. So I'm going to stop by and see you sometime.
That is fantastic. I'm a Florida State fan, and Tony Gregory, our producer, is a Gator. So he just
go Gators.
Go Gators! Listen.
Well, you guys are like me. You have what they call a house divided.
Yeah. Hey, Heartbreak coming up. Glenn, again, congratulations on the Passport Max.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout-out to my mom, Fran, in Ormond Beach.
Thank you, Fran, Ormond Beach. Glenn Miller.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Drive Smarter tip, brought to you by Escort, the world's best radar and laser detectors. Ah, the sound of spring. Have robins built a nest under your hood? Screeching noises under your hood are likely worn belts. Since worn belts can cause expensive repairs and pose safety issues, it's a good idea to get them checked. This tip is brought to you by Escort's Passport Max, the first and only detector with HD radar performance. Don't just drive smarter. Escort.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another great place to use Visa. They giggle and jiggle, they jump and they sing, they poke and they play with most wondrous things. And that's just the parents. At Creative Kids Stuff in Minneapolis, you'll find the most enchanting toys and games for kids of all ages. But if you want to bring home their innovative playthings, you better bring your Visa card. Because at Creative Kids Stuff, you can let your child's imagination run wild, but you can't use American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
There are over 358 million trillion gallons of water on Earth. But not all water is created equal. Only 1/1000,000,000% is filtered naturally beneath the Earth, with a distinct balance of minerals, and emerges crisp and refreshing enough to be called Zephyr Hills. Zephyr Hills 100% natural spring water, born better.
You, my friend, have connections in the government. Yes, you. USA.gov, the official source for government information on thousands of topics. And like any good connection, there's no telling where it can take you. Why, one day you're getting student loan information. Next thing you know, you need job hunting tips. Today's road construction info could have you searching for telecommuting ideas tomorrow. The more you use USA.gov, the more uses you'll find for it. Passport applications, for example. They've been known to lead to a sudden interest in travel advisories. Our new mobile apps will even update you on the go. So whether you have information to get or ideas to give your government, check out USA.gov. Who knows? Lottery results today could lead to retirement planning tomorrow. USA.gov. With the right connections, there's no telling where you can go.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Folks, welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We just spoke with Glenn Miller in Chicago, Illinois, who won the Passport Escort Max. And really, what a gentleman. I read to you his letter that he wrote, The Car Story with Dad. And so I want to, again, say congratulations to Glenn Miller on winning the Escort Passport Max. And I want to thank you all for the Car Story with Dad entrance. You really touched my heart with all the legacies your dad's created for you and for our country. And from the entire Bobby Likis Car Clinic team and Escort Radar, happy Father's Day to all the hardworking fathers in America, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you so much for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And one last point, hello to Fran, who is Glenn Miller's mom, who lives in Ormond Beach. So if you're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and from our 1150 a.m. WNDB Daytona station, let Fran know that her son won a radar detector, so the next time he comes to Florida, he'll be ticket free. Let's go to Missouri and take a call from Larry. Larry, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing great, thanks. Just, great to talk with folks across the nation and, connect. And it's kind of it brings warmth to my heart. And it's Happy Father's Day, by the way, Larry.
You too. Just down here in Missouri, and I've got a 1994 Ford F-250 four-wheel drive diesel truck.
Okay.
It's got 7.3 factory turbo.
Yes, sir.
The lift out.
Say that again.
The lift pump, the fuel pump on it.
Yes, sir.
It's there on the side of the block, just old Chevys or whatever had in them. Well, I went to O'Reilly's and I got one, and Bobby, and the stem on the thing is straight. Which one I took out of the pickup, it's got a big bend in it. I went down to our Ford dealership, and he ordered me one in last night. Overnight this morning, come in, it's straight too.
Well, let me ask you a question about the one that has a bend in it. Is it bent or is it made with a curve?
The guy my mechanic said it's factory that way. It's not got a bend in it. And I tried to ask the guy, the parts store guy, have they changed anything in the years to that? Well, I guess it runs off of the cam. Is that right?
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Yours is a 94. I'm trying to think because you're not there. I wonder if there's like a diagram of or exploded view of the fuel pump. Where did you buy the pump? You got it from the dealer?
I got the pump from O'Reilly's day before yesterday.
Okay.
Went to put it in and it was straight. I went to Ford yesterday and he ordered me one in overnight. And it come in and it's identical the same one as O'Reilly's. And he's telling me there's only one that'll fit that, because in '94 they come out with the Power Stroke when they went to the electric.
I don't know the answer to your question, Larry, but I will put that out for our other listeners. And folks, if you're a diesel technician or you have had this specific problem, and Larry, the lift pump that you're talking about, the mechanical lift pump on your '94 F-250 diesel, and it's a 7.3 Power Stroke, right?
Oh, it's 3 turbo. It's not the Power Stroke.
Oh, it's a 7.3 turbo, but not the Power Stroke.
Right.
That's right. The Power Stroke was a 2000 year.
No, actually, the Power Stroke came out in '94. I could have got that in my new truck, but I didn't know anything about it, so I went ahead and took the 7.3 turbo.
Well, let me ask you a question. On the new fuel pump that you bought, can the base of that pump or can that rod be exchanged? And here's a problem that I have. What is the bottom of the curved, your old fuel pump? What does that look like? Does it look like it rides on a camshaft, or it look like it tried to ride on one and got bent?
No, it rides. I mean, it's not bent, Bobby. It's factory. It's factory.
I got it.
But I'm missing something here.
Yeah, I know.
I'd like to see a picture of it. You know, that's what I'd like for.
I
somebody
agree.
Had a computer could send me a picture of it.
You know, I was thinking that it's possible that the dealer, if you go back to the dealer, and the dealer should be able to bring up that particular part on a smart page, and that's what they're called in catalogs. Smart pages have the picture of the part that you're going to order, and furthermore, you should be able to go back to O'Reilly Auto Parts, and they should be able to bring up a smart page. And we started with smart pages, I don't know, 10 years ago. It wasn't common then, it's common now, so that when you get a part number, that just like the quandary that you're in right now, if you get a part number that's 1254A, and then there's another part that's the same part, but it's 1254B, what's the difference between the A and the B? And you need a smart page, because those parts manufacturers that make parts supply with the part number, they supply a picture of the part. So if you're buying a tie rod in, you know, or a ball joint, is it or an A-frame, is it left, is it right? There's always not always, but there are left and rights of a lot of parts. So that's what I would do. I don't know the answer to your question, but I can learn that information. I can find that information. What I'm going to do, Larry, is put you back on hold, and you give Miss Jan your email address. And you have email, right? Larry?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, you have email, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll put you back on hold, and Miss Jan will take your email, and then I will take a look and send to you what information that I find, and I will do this before I leave the building today.
Well, I sure appreciate it. And also, one other thing, when I ordered the fuel pump from O'Reilly's, they had to have the 8-digit number off the serial number.
Right, that's the engine code.
And that's the only way. And she said that's the only one that fit that truck. You know, I'm stuck.
Well,
I hate to stick that thing in there and it's going to bend.
No,
else.
don't do that. You need. Yeah, I'm glad you called me. I wish I knew I had that experience, but I haven't. I've had a lot of experiences, but this one I haven't.
Right.
So, as they say, I've done everything, but I haven't done that. So
I sure appreciate you very much.
You're welcome very much. Okay, Tony, let's put Larry back on hold, and Miss Jan, get his email address. And folks, if you're familiar with it, here's a gentleman that's got a one-off. It's got a curved on the lift pump of the diesel. It's got a curved push rod versus a straight one. 888-227-2546. I got the number right. That's the first time, that I've ever seen Miss Jan put the number up there, and that's the first time that So what is that?
We thought you needed the help today.
Yeah, really? Okay, 888-227-2546. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by CRC Industries, makers of Brake Clean, the original aerosol brake parts cleaner, and still the #1 choice of pros and do-it-yourselfers. If you have a call me. I mentioned earlier about the new product that Royal Purple has come out with, and then we got carried away, as we always do. But I want to share this with you because it's an all-new line, and Larry's call sort of reminded me because it's for heavy duty. It's a new line of high-performance lubricants from Royal Purple that have been specifically developed for over-the-road trucking, construction, mining, agricultural, and heavy-duty fleet markets with a state-of-the-art technology to optimize engine, equipment, performance or heavy equipment performance. And here's the name of the product, Duralec. It's Royal Purple. It's a new commercial lubricant product line called Duralec, Duralec. And let me share this with you. Years ago, when I was choosing a lubricant sponsor partner, I looked at 4 or 5 different names. At that time, you really hadn't heard much about Royal Purple because Royal Purple was a commercial grade product that really didn't have a lot of roots in the automotive. But the product was so great and worked so well. I mean, they solved a China Star 125 mile per hour bullet train vibration problem with their lubricants. So Royal Purple was originally a commercial application product, and they solved lubrication problems for these multi-million dollar machines. So someone says, well, we should use that in cars. Really? Right? And they did. So now, as you know, it's a common, it's in 30,000 locations across the nation, worldwide. So it's exciting for me to see that Royal Purple is bringing that technology that they started with years ago that they put into cars specifically to over-the-road vehicles. So the commercial products include heavy-duty motor oils, transmission fluids, gear oil, multipurpose grease, coolant additive, tractor fluids, hydraulic fluids, and diesel additives. Each is formulated with the Duralex premium additive packages to deliver ultimate protection and peak performance in today's high-tech engines, regardless of driving and operating conditions. For more information, folks, go to royalpurple.com, and for you heavy-duty, heavy equipment and fleet managers, just remember the newest product on the market is Royal Purple, it's easy for you to say, Duralec. Duralec. Take a call from Herb. Herb, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You got an answer for Larry on his diesel?
Yes, sir, Bobby. How are you this morning?
I'm just delighted that you called in, and you can imagine the quandary that he's in. And yeah. I was going to stay after the program and do homework, so you may have just saved me lunchtime.
Yeah, I really enjoy your show.
Thank you.
I listen to it every Saturday. I have the same truck, and it is titled a 94. However, when you have to buy parts for it, you have to go back to 1993. And I ran into this with AC compressors, the serpentine belt, any engine parts. I had to buy parts from a 93 because it's an international motor. It's not the R-stroke. So if he just goes to any auto parts store and just say 1993, he'll get the correct pump because it's for the international motor, which is, a good, strong motor.
Well, you know what I really appreciate that. What puzzles me is that they've looked at the 8th digit in the serial number, and the 8th digit dictates the engine, and that's what, when we order parts, we always use the vehicle identification number so that we know we're getting the right part. But I will say this, and this is great news here. I will say this, that even when we use the VIN, we sometimes get the wrong part in. And and we say, well, somebody's made a mistake, or the first thing you think of, well, it was boxed wrong.
Yeah, or there's some crossover vehicles. My truck was actually a cabin chassis that was made into a rollback car carrier. So the cabin chassis could have sat on a lot for who knows how long. They got titled in 94. Meanwhile, it was a 93 model. Okay. While that bed, dump truck bed, rollback bed, whatever was put on it.
So what you're saying then, you're saying that your 94 F-250 diesel engine is really a 93 at birth. It's really a 93 International.
That is correct. It's actually an F-450, but same difference, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And you specifically have had the curved pushrod versus the straight problem?
Yes, I had that. I had that problem, and I had it with serpentine belt. I had numerous where I just say, from now on, I just tell them it's a 93. So, anyway,
I got to thank you, man. You that means I have 30 minutes more to enjoy lunch after the program.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hang up and keep listening. And
Okay.
like I said, keep doing what you do, Bobby. We love you down
Thank
here
you.
in Daytona.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate
All right.
that.
Okay.
Wow. Now that's really, you know, anytime you can help someone, and anytime that someone else can help someone, it just means that we all benefit. So I forgot to tell him Happy Father's Day. Still a couple of minutes. I can take one more call. 888-227-2546 if you want to squeeze one in. Let's see what else. The sweepstakes, I have been neglectful on this. We've got another Bobby's Big Gas Sweepstakes. I said Bobby's Big Gas Sweepstakes.
Yeah, make sure you enunciate that.
I did. Big Gas. Bobby's Big Gas. Another brand new Car Clinic Sweepstakes. It's another Bobby's Big Gas Sweepstakes. And the prizes include, and this is so cool, $500 gift from yours truly, a gas card. And that'll take you a long way, 2,500, 3,000 miles. Also, a $250 Visa gift card from the Renewable Fuels Association, the ethanol folks. Royal Purple is throwing in a leather lambskin jacket that is really beautiful. And our friends at Escort, and they do a great job. They never say no. And folks, that means a lot to me. They're tossing in a Passport Max radar laser detector, courtesy of Escort. So I want to thank everyone. And the way you can enter is just go to carclinicsweepstakes.com. It's easy. carclinicsweepstakes.com and answer the question. You can answer one question, and your name's going to be in a hat one time. There are 7 questions. You can answer all 7. And it's like questions like, what color is Royal Purple oil? So it really is. It is easy, but it's fun. And of course, we certainly appreciate all of you that have tuned in today. And I want to wish every father out there a happy Father's Day. And if you've lost your father, as I, happy Father's Day to you. Folks, I'll invite you to join me next week, 10 till noon Eastern Time. Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Don't miss it. Like us. You'll love us. Happy Father's Day.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. The Department of Agriculture determined ethanol's energy balance to be 1.7 to 2.3. That's to say, today's ethanol production yields nearly twice as much energy as it took to create. Also, in 2011, ethanol use reduced tailpipe CO2 equivalent emissions by 25.3 metric tons. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Driving a cab in this town can drive you nuts. It's like hurry up and wait. Last week, I'm stuck behind a bus on Broadway when that pastrami on ride catches up with me. Ooh, heartburn big time. Guy in the back seat says, "Here, take a Zantac 75. I say, "What are you, a doctor?" And he says, "Yeah."
Zantac 75 relieves heartburn anywhere, anytime.
A real gentleman, that doctor.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
Hi, Tom Bodette from Motel 6. Baby boomers ain't babies anymore. Ties as wide as your belly are out. So are bell-bottom pants. Oh, wait, bell-bottoms are back in. Well, spending more money than you have to is still definitely out. So save money, stay at Motel 6, and get with the times. And before you go making fun of your kid's haircut, you might want to check out your old yearbook. Talk about what goes around comes around. I'm Tom Bodette from Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.